Chris Hancock guitars. Quality guitars at a reasonable price. So my task was that I was commissioned by Lil Wayne to make him a custom guitar. Basically, he asked me to build a guitar body and install the pickups and electronics. So essentially, I have to buy the neck and electronics. We would cut out the body and route electronics cavity on it. He also requested a comfort feature such as a tummy carve and forearm cut to the guitar. So our company motto is it ain't good if it don't make your wallet cry. See, our logo, or my logo, is CHG, and there's a guitar right there. It stands for Chris Hancock Guitars, and there's a little, not motto, but it's something, quality guitars at a reasonable price. So, yeah. Here's the research paper link. You can click on that later. Research paper summary. So essentially, for operations and applications, I went over bolt-on, semi-hollow, glue-on, and active pickups. Bolt-on essentially is a process of screwing a guitar neck to the body. It makes it very modular. You can exchange it out if the truss rod ever gets damaged or anything. Semi-hollow guitars. Those are basically the construction method where you have one solid piece of wood going down the body, and then two basically cavities where it's hollow to let it resonate better. And then glue-on guitars, basically it's like bolt-ons, except for you glue on the neck instead of having bolt-on. It makes it a lot less modular, but some say it affects tone a bit. I don't know. So active pickups, basically, instead of passively using magnets to detect the sound, you use essentially, well, you use the same magnets, but they are active instead of passive, essentially. So they have to be run by a battery and they have to be turned on. They're a lot weaker usually, but they have a battery to amplify it a little bit. So basically the history and current events. Basically you mentioned the solid body, which is essentially by Les Paul technically. Well, he technically made a solid body and a hollow body, but the solid body came first and they added the hollow body part later onto that one guitar. Essentially the current event would be the bankruptcy of Gibson. Basically Gibson went bankrupt a few years back, so basically tells all the old manufacturers they can't just keep coasting off their designs, they have to make new innovations. So yeah, essentially 3D printed guitars, basically that's a new industry that's kind of emerging. It hasn't really picked up too much steam yet. It's mostly just creative types on YouTube, but there have been some that are making the market. You're not going to find any Guitar Center anytime soon, but it's still there. So basically the pandemic caused a bunch of people to pick up instruments, and so yeah, sales increase across the market for that. So yeah, for impacts, we have locking tuners, humbucker, CNC, copyright law. So basically locking tuners, they allow you to bend and also stay in tune while doing that, a lot better. It also makes changing out strings about 5 times easier, give or take. Yeah, the humbuckers, essentially, they were invented by somebody working at Gibson. Essentially, they allow you to reduce the inherent noise from the pickups of the hum, basically, and they buck the hum. That's where they get the name from. So CNCs, they are obviously computer machining stuff, and they essentially allow cheaper production of guitars. So basically, like the import areas, like from Asia and stuff, they use these a lot to get their products looking a lot better than they normally would be handmade. So yeah, copyright law. Basically, in the 80s, there were a bunch of lawsuits and stuff because a bunch of companies were copying each other on designs and stuff. So basically, the lawyers and the judges ruled that essentially the body shapes, since they were limited, you could kind of copy them, but the headstocks had to be unique. So yeah, for important people, we have Leo Fender. He was born in Anaheim in 1909. He had an interest in radios growing up. He started a radio repair company in 1938, and then eventually he met his partner in crime, Doc Kaufman, who used to work for Rickenbacker, where he met the guy. And in 1950, he released the Esquire Broadcaster, which is the same design as a Telecaster, essentially. But essentially, the Broadcaster is he got sued over that by Gretsch because they owned a different, similar looking name. Just a one letter different. So essentially, he just renamed it to Telecaster. So yeah, in '55, he made the Strats. He basically sold the Fender to CVS in the '60s, and then he basically started work at G&L and Music Man. So he started G&L and he was instrumental in Music Man becoming what it is. And unfortunately, after that, he died of Parkinson's. Here is my flyer. So yeah, it's a nice little one. $1,600 might be a little bit steep, but the price is a little bit flexible. Contact information, so you have phone, email, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. Sketches. You can't see it 100% too good, but this is essentially the rough sketch. You have the pickup bridge, control cavity. The output jack is in the wrong place on this one, but I changed it in the later design. Tummy cut is on the back right here. This is the forearm cut. There's a little also comfort curve, which I had in the final design too. So yeah, you have the tuners there too. Here's a low fidelity prototype, which I'm not gonna lie, for being in a hotel room while I did that, it didn't look too bad in the final turn. So basically a 3D model. I used a Libre to make it because of the overlay image and also the spline tool. So yeah, now basically the comfort image. So yeah, the image of the thing. I traced it by using the overlay, and I used the spline tool to actually trace out the entire body shape on the top at least. Yeah, comfort carves. I also use a spline tool on that, but then I lofted it down. So basically, there's that, and then I lofted it down to that angle there. So yeah, you see a little bit of that too. So the bill of materials. So yeah, one oak tread plate, which is what I made the body out of. 4 of these screws, which is what I use the neck pocket. What bolts the neck to the body. Here's the these ones are for the pick guard and the pickups. These 5 are for the bridge. Obviously, you have the guitar bridge right here. 6 guitar tuners, which is came on the neck obviously. 1 humbucker pickup is what I used to use the sound obviously. So yeah, the guitar neck, which came out all the frets and stuff. 1 guitar pick guard, which actually came with the electronics and stuff, or at least the volume and tone knob, so that's good. The output jack, and then the 2 screws that were for the output jack. And finally, you have the black cherry Varathane wood stain, which is what I used to get the color out of it. How I obtained material. So the electronics, neck, and tuners were from my PV Rockmaster. The body wood was from Lowe's. We bought that. Equipment was from my dad to so basically the mill and the bandsaw. The spindle and belt sander I got from Harbor Freight, which the stain and brush I bought from Home Depot, and the screws came off the old guitar. Old PV Rockmaster, I got that off there too. So building the prototype. So basically, first of all, I cut the wood in half and then glued it together. So then I let it dry overnight. Then I lasered the outline of the guitar on the wood, and then I used the CNC and bandsaw to actually cut the initial design out. It was very rough, so I had to sand it down a lot. So basically, I also used the bandsaw for the tummy and forearm cut, and then I sanded that down to get it to a much more smooth surface. So yeah, then I after that I installed the electronics, and then screwed the the pickups and all that stuff in, and then I did a little test where I strung. Then I hand sanded the body and then applied wood stain after I disassembled the electronics and stuff. So then I let that dry over. So testing and evaluation. I first tested the body after I was initially done with sanding, just to make sure it was working before I did the stain and stuff. So yeah, the guitar was not very playable, but it made sound and stuff, so the pickups and electronics were all good. So yeah, the second round of testing essentially was after I put on the coat of paint and stuff. So basically I strung up every single one of the strings, and then I adjusted the saddles of the bridge basically to make it a lot more playable. And basically the results of testing. The first round of testing, I found out one of the wires was improperly soldered, so I had to do that one more time. The bridge saddles, they needed to be raised, so I did that. That helped the fret buzzing a little bit, but the frets still were buzzing at the end of it, and also the intonation was off, so I was able to raise that up a little bit too. So areas of improvement. I should have double checked the next round of my 3D model. I had to move it down just a little bit more than I needed to get the scale length perfect. So yeah, I could have also, or not the scale length, but to have the screws all bolted into the neck, like I normally would. I could have sourced a slightly better guitar neck, because mine didn't have the best one, the best fretwork of all time. The buzzing wasn't purely my fault. So yeah, on the pickups, I could have lined them up just a little bit better. They are still pretty much over the magnets and stuff, but I could have lined them up a little bit more perfectly. And honestly, I like the black cherry color a lot, but I was kind of looking for more of a reddish, like pure red color. But I mean, that really isn't that much of bad stuff. So here's the proof it works. So yeah.
So first design constraint, it was all handmade, or well, mostly handmade. We did use a CNC, but it was a manual mill, and also, instead of hand sanding the entire thing, I used a drum sander and also a belt sander, so that was pretty much handmade. It wasn't like I designed the model, but it was the only assistance I got from fully automatic machinery was to have the laser cut out the initial design of the body in there, so I could cut it better. Anyway, so yeah, it has the pickup to send audio basically to the output jack. So pickup goes into the control cavity, goes through these two knobs right here, and then into, you got a wire that connects to the output jack. And the output jack goes to the amplifier, obviously. And thus you get sound. So yeah. Anyways, the other design constraint, it has to have a tummy cut and a forearm cut. This is the tummy cut right here, and this is the forearm cut. So yeah, that's both part of it. Essentially, we got the the finishing stain is applied to the body. So this is stain. It's called black cherry color. It was honestly, I like it a lot. Show it there. There's the actual bottle if you want to see it. So yeah. Anyways, this little thing is another comfort card. It's not part of the design constraints. I just thought I'd show it to you because you can't see it with a full pick guard, but it helps out a lot sometimes. Well, anyways, so yeah, the body had to be sanded. Obviously, I used a drum sander and the belt sander a lot on this thing, but you really won't find a sharp edge anywhere on this guitar. Honestly, you can't obviously touch it right now, but trust me when I say this thing is smooth as butter right now. Okay? So yeah. Now, the other constraint is that it's a bolt-on neck design. This one, obviously you have the screws in here, which, are the bolts, quote-unquote, for it. And, yeah, so that fulfills that design constraint. And the, so that's all the design constraints. So hopefully you enjoy this type of stuff.
Yeah, here's the end of the presentation. Thank you.